Hello. Hi. Namaste. Good evening, everybody, or morning, whatever time you're watching us. We're here for our second lecture in our seminar of Svadhyaya Intensive. I'm very happy to be here. It really feels like a real seminar twice a day. It's really nice. I hope you enjoyed the first lecture. We will start with just 5 minutes of silent sitting, little bit of instructions, and then we continue our talk, our lecture. And today, in this lecture, we're going to practice a little bit more deep and really start to do the tapas that we've been talking about and the dharana, the concentration practice. But first, we need a little bit more explanations, and then we will go deep into the practice. So just make sure you sit in a nice place for you, a comfortable place where you can practice. And if you cannot practice at this time, then just make sure that afterwards, maybe you try it or tomorrow morning, so you can really follow the whole thing for real and not only as a theory. It will be nice if you say hi or something that I know you're watching. It's always good to know there is somebody else on the other side. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask anytime you want. Just write in the chat and I will do my best to reply during the lecture. So I think we're ready. So let's start. Just 5 minutes of silent sitting. Hi Anati, hi Sigali, thank you. Hi Swati. Nice. Okay, so just 5 minutes, close your eyes. Hi Maya. Make sure you're in a comfortable posture. Remember we talked about Raja Yoga and that asana only has to be comfortable and steady. So just make sure your body is comfortable and steady. And then just make sure that your breath is relaxed. If it's a little bit agitated, just try very, very gently, slowly to make it a little bit slower, to start to manage the breath until it becomes a little bit more quiet. And remember, we were talking about the state of the mind. So try to see how you feel. Do you feel agitated, full of thoughts and ideas? And maybe it even feels difficult to just keep your eyes closed. This is the agitated mind, the rajasic mind. So maybe it's like this, and it's okay. It's very normal after a full day of work or whatever. Or maybe the mind feels like very tired. If you just woke up or after a long day and you feel that if you keep your eyes closed that you're going to fall asleep. This is the tamasic mind, and this is also very natural, very okay, but you can see that you can notice it, you can identify it. And then maybe the mind is already quiet and a little bit focused and calm. This is also, of course, an option, the sattvic mind. And then gently just direct your attention to the breath and see that you become aware of the inhale and exhale. And when you see that you're inhaling, just mentally say air in or inhale. And then when you see that you're exhaling, just mentally repeat exhale or air out. And let your mind really rest on the breath. Let it be a steady point for now to create some kind of concentration, some kind of stability. So just follow the breath. Identify when the air comes in, air goes out. So only a few minutes, 5 minutes like this. And every time your attention goes to something else, just gently bring it back. Doesn't matter if the breath feels a little bit not natural or changing. And it doesn't matter if there is a lot of thoughts that take your attention away. Just gently, again and again, bring your mind to rest on the breath. The only thing you have to do is identify when the air comes in, when the air goes out. That is all. Again and again, let your mind rest on the breath. And as you do it, try to see if you can notice what happens to your mind when you are focused on the breath, when you follow the inhale and exhale. What happens in that moment? Just one more minute. And then gently release your attention. Take a deep breath. And when you feel ready, open your eyes. So just a short preparation to start the teaching. So nice to see all of you here. Hi, in Bali and Izar and Heather. Hi. So good to be here. So let's remind ourselves what we've been talking about in the first lecture. We saw the process of yoga in which Svadhyaya is the main part. We saw that it is made out of 3 stages, or we can say a process that has 3 stages. And in each stage, we engage in different action. What we have to do in the process is different. So the first thing that we have to do in the process is tapas, is to put the effort to stable the mind and make it clear and steady, or reach the state of samadhi, or the ability of samyama, which we said is only to say is nothing big, nothing spiritual. It is only to say that now we are holding the reins of the mind, and now we can fully control the mind. Hi, Maria. Oh, from Spain. Nice. Thank you for writing. And Anna also. Hi. Oh, nice, from Poland or England. Okay, so so in this stage, we just put the effort to develop samadhi, and we said the samadhi is not something big and spiritual, as many yogis like to present it, and it is not for only some special swamis or enlightened persons. Not at all. This is the most basic ability that we should have as humans, to be able to use the mind, to fully control the mind, to be able to hold the reins of the mind and use it at will whenever we need, when we want to investigate something and get very accurate knowledge about it. So in this process of tapas, we saw that we actually have these two kinds of yoga. The first one that we start with is the hatha yoga, where we use other more gross techniques to influence the mind, not yet directly with the mind. So we are using asana, the different postures of the body that make us, well, when we want to perform them well, we must create concentration, or performing them well creates concentration and relaxes the mind. So we work through the asanas, the postures. We work with different pranayama techniques, breathing techniques, that when we follow them, the mind slowly relaxes and concentrates. This is the hatha yoga, but this is only the beginning. And then we must advance to techniques that actually now control the mind. We gave the example of the horse. Now we can go on the horse when the mind is not so wild, or the horse is not so wild anymore. And then we have the 8 limbs of yoga in the Raja yoga. And then we talked about him, but for me, the most important thing to understand is that there in the Raja yoga, there is no asanas and no pranayama techniques, only the comfortable way of sitting or lying, whatever makes the body comfortable, and the breathing relaxed, so we can work with the mind. And then we saw that we have all the techniques that are working now directly with the mind. First, the pratyahara, bringing the attention in, not letting it go outside, and then starting to focus the mind by what is called dharana, binding the mind to one object. This is what we just did now. And then the meditative mind is created, the mind that has no more fluctuations, no more movement. And then as a result, samadhi is created. Now we can see the object as it is, samadhi similar to itself, no longer through the coloring of the mind. So this is a very basic ability, not well developed for most of us, but something that all of us can develop. And Patnjali in the Yoga Sutra says something so wonderful that when we understand it, we understand that all of us can reach samadhi. He says it depends on the effort you put. That's all. If you put a little effort, you will advance more slowly. But if you put a lot of effort and steady effort, then you will advance more quickly. It is that easy. It is for all of us. It is not only for some special people. For me, this is one of the most important things to understand about samadhi or about yoga in general. It is up to us. You don't need to be so special. Hey, Marika. Hey, Easy. Oh, nice. Hi, Noah. Nice. All right. So after we have established the ability to use the mind to give us knowledge, we can start the process of Svadhyaya. And we said Svadhyaya is self-investigation. We're investigating the nature of the self. And here we meet two kinds of selves. First, the self that until now we were very certain that this is the only self there is, and this is us, the self which is the mind and the body. And we start to see it, and we can really look how it is, how it functions, what it is made of. We are going to do this process together. And then we discover, as a result, we discover another kind of self, different than the all the thoughts and ideas and the body sensations and all of these things that we thought that so far was us, we realize that there is another self, a self that has different characteristic, a self that is aware of all the movement of the mind and the body, but is different than them. So we, in this process of Svadhyaya, we have these two kinds of investigations. We start with the little self and we advance to know the bigger, the more subtle self. And again, this is something that all of us can do. And we talked about why Svadhyaya is the main part of yoga. Why do we need to do this self-investigation? You remember? It is because not distinguishing between these two selves or identifying them as one self, or I can even say identify ourselves with the mind and the body, is the source of all the suffering in this world. What is called avidya, not distinguishing, not being able to distinguish between these two kinds of self. So the solution for the suffering is to start to distinguish. It is that easy. And again, for me, this is something so wonderful with yoga, because we are so used to blaming suffering, our own suffering, on outer circumstances. We say, oh, it's because of the government, or it's because of my boyfriend, it's because of my mother, there are or the economic situation. There are so many reasons for our suffering, all of them external, all of them put the blame on something that is outside of us. But when we understand what yoga says, we understand that actually the source of suffering is not external. The government can be what it is, my mother can stay as she is, everything can be a mess, but this is not the source of suffering. The source of suffering is the avidya that we have, the fact that we don't distinguish between these two svas, between these two selves. So imagine how easy it is. Imagine how easy it is, because to change the government is a little bit difficult, we can see. Changing my mother is impossible. Also, my boyfriend is a little difficult to change. A lot of things are out of my reach, out of my control. But my knowledge is completely under my control. It is completely something that I can achieve in any moment if I develop samadhi, if I do samyama, investigate using the mind to get knowledge. This is completely under my control. So we are responsible of taking ourselves out of suffering. Nobody else is responsible for that. And we can see that no matter how many boyfriends we have changed and how many government changed along the years, still the suffering was there in some way or another. So how amazing there is that there is a full complete system called yoga that gives us the cause of suffering, tells us this is something internal, and tells us this is something that you can change, and you can change it now in 6 lectures. You don't have to wait for 30 years or do stuff like that. This is completely here and now, something that we can do. We can start to gain this new knowledge through Svadhyaya. And then just one to finish the whole this process of yoga, we said after Svadhyaya there is Ishvara Pranidhana. We start to understand how things are. We start to understand that all things work the same. We go beyond good and bad, beyond this duality, beyond separations. We understand the purpose of ourselves, because we understood who we are. So we understand the purpose. We understand the purpose of life, and we start to work accordingly, or to act accordingly in this life. And since we no longer, imagine how wonderful, since we no longer identify ourselves with the mind and with all these crazy ideas and emotions and stuff that goes on in the mind, we are not longer bound by them, or we can freely act in the world, not depending on what is going on in the mind. Then we reach this freedom of suffering, freedom of action, and we can fulfill our potential in this world. So this is like the whole thing that we've talked about in the first lecture. And now what we have to go deeper into is, of course, to prepare our mind for Svadhyaya, because as I told you, I really want us to do it for real. We start with the process of, we'll put it on the board, the pratyahara, and then which is holding the attention. Making sure we are now starting to collect the mind, to have the attention in our hands, and then we are going to go to the process of dharana, which is concentration or binding the mind to one thing. And here in the dharana, this we have to practice, and we are going to do some serious practice soon, very soon. So just as I said, I really, really advise you to do it together. You will see with the right instructions, it is not so difficult to follow. And maybe we will have to dismiss some ideas we have about meditation. So if you think meditation is just something that you sit still and do nothing, it is not. And if you think that meditation is something that has like big lights and images and going some psychic experiences, this is not. This is actually hard work. This is developing the abilities of the mind. And I like to look at it as like we're learning to drive a car, or again to ride a horse. And I can say that maybe if we were taught this kind of control of the mind, this basic ability of controlling the mind when we were young, it would be very natural for us. It's like to learn how to drive in a very young age. In the beginning it's complicated, but very soon it becomes very, after some time it is already natural. But to learn something in more advanced age can be a little bit more complicated. But don't worry about it. It is guaranteed that if you practice and you follow the instructions, you will develop the ability of samadhi. You will develop the ability to do samyama, to investigate everything you want. And from there, we will do the process of Svadhyaya. And from there, of course, you can use this ability not only for Svadhyaya, but anything else you want to do in the world. So how do we practice pratyahara? How do we practice dharana? The secret lies in something very special called attention. I have already mentioned these words a few times, and some of you, of course, already know it. So what is attention? Attention is the muscle, we can say, like a mental muscle through which we work with the mind, through which we can direct the mind. It is a little bit like driving. And there is a driver, there is a car, and when the driver uses the car, we call it driving. So when we use the mind and we direct the mind, we call it attention. So attention is the thing that happens between us and the mind when we start using it. And all of us have the ability of controlling attention, which soon we are going to check. And all of us can develop this ability and to use it. So first, let's see that we really have this ability of attention. And before we try to see it for ourselves. With attention, we can do two kinds of movements. I like to imagine it like a mental hand. And with a hand, we can do always two things. We can hold something, and we can let go of what we hold. So the same goes with attention. We can hold things with our attention. This is when we direct attention, like what we did with the breath. We can hold our attention on the breath, but we can also choose to take the attention away from the breath or to release the attention from the breath. So attention has these two movements that are available to us in every time we want, but we have to develop the ability. You will see that the more we practice, we can hold more subtle things that are difficult to hold, and we can let go of more difficult things that really take our attention, and we sometimes really have to struggle to let go of them. But the more we practice, this ability becomes more and more natural for us, and eventually we can direct attention and let go of things, take attention away of things as much as we want. Or freely. Okay, so now first let's check that we really have this force of attention, or this ability, that I'm not just telling you stuff that is not true. As we said, everything we are going to experience for ourselves. So just close your eyes for a moment, sit in a comfortable way. And now gently direct your attention to the palms of your hands. And see that you can easily do it. Doesn't matter how you feel your hands or whatever, this is not the idea. Just see that you can willingly direct your attention to the palms of your hands. And then let go of the palms of your hands, release the attention from the palms, and direct your attention to the breath. And now see that you can keep your attention directed to the breath. Okay, so I'm sure all of you managed. And now release your attention from the breath and direct it to the feeling of the tongue in the mouth. And see that you can easily do that. And now release your attention from the tongue and direct your attention to what the eyes see when they are closed. And again, see that you can easily do that. And then release your attention from the eyes and direct your attention to the ears, to the sounds around you. And see again that this is something that you choose to do. It is completely under your control. And then release the attention from the ears and direct the attention back to the breath. And again, see, this is something you can easily do. And then release the attention, take a deep breath, and when you feel ready, open your eyes. So, I assume all of us discovered that we are able to direct the attention to wherever we want, and we are able to release it so we can direct it to wherever we want. This thing of attention is very interesting because I've been given this practice many times already to many different people, many different ages, and not one time did somebody tell me that he didn't manage to direct the attention, or didn't manage to release attention, or couldn't work with it, or needed more explanation. Why? Because this is natural ability for us, only they forgot to teach us this, but this is a very natural ability. All of us have it, just like we all have this muscle here. But of course, just like muscle, it will be developed into different degrees according to the work we do with it. So for us, for those who train with weightlifting, their muscle will be much more developed than mine, but we both have muscles, the same muscle. So the same with attention. For those who practice dharana, one-pointed concentration, the ability to control attention will be more developed. But even a child or grown-up that never practice concentration still have this ability. And here I would like to say something about today concentration problems with children. and these drugs that they give them to stay calm and relaxed in class. Actually, if they only taught them this idea of attention and how to use it, and that they can in any time choose to what to hold and where to direct it or what to release, there would be no concentration problems, because all of them will have a very developed muscle, this attention. But our society is a little bit upside down sometimes, so we use other methods which don't develop any abilities, but hopefully one day it will change. So we saw the pratyahara, that we can control the attention, we can decide where it is going to go. And now we're going to go deep in the dharana. Dharana is binding attention to one thing, and every time it wants to go away is to bring it back, or to let go of the things that took it and bring it back to the object we want to concentrate with. And why do we want to do these two movements of focusing on one thing and letting go of others? For a very simple reason. Remember that we talked about the mind, and we want to create a stable mind and a clear mind. We gave the example of the camera, that it has to be stable and clean. The lens has to be clean. The camera has to be stable to give us accurate image of or photo of reality. So the same goes with the mind. When we bind attention, when we direct attention to one object, we create stability. It's like putting an anchor on a boat. It makes it stable. It makes it stay in one place. So by binding our attention, binding the mind to one thing, we create stability in the mind. But we will see soon when we practice that this is not enough, because our attention has also, we can say, a life of its own, or its automatic way of operating, which is to go after everything that is caught, we can say, or perceived through the senses. And this is not a problem. This is actually very natural, because this attention has also the, we can say, the job to keep us alive. And then we must be aware of our environment. And if there is a strong noise or some even silent noise, I want my attention to perceive it, to know that if this is dangerous or not. Or if some movement happens, I want my eye to catch it, my attention to catch it, because maybe this is, you know, in previous or like past days, it was maybe food, but maybe it's my dog. And so we want in daily life our attention to perceive things from the senses freely, so we know what is happening around us. So the attention, when we practice dharana and we try to bind attention to one place, our attention has still its automatic movement towards objects that are perceived through the senses. So you will see it naturally going to sounds and thoughts and feelings and sensations from the body. This is guaranteed, will always happen. But then when we let go of them, even though the attention went there, there was some kind of thought that came and my attention went and held it for a moment. If I let it go, because I can release the attention from it, and I direct the attention back to the breath, whatever this thing was that caught my attention is going to go out of my attention. It's going to, in a way, go away. We're going to see it. And in this way, what is created is also clarity in the mind. It's like reducing the noises slowly. But they will always come. Always will be this movement of attention. And every time we release, we will create also clarity, also like cleaning the mind. So this is why we have these two abilities. One is the focusing of attention, and one is the releasing of attention from whatever is different than the object that we want to concentrate. If you remember, in the first lecture, I presented two words in Sanskrit, abhyasa and vairagya. Abhyasa is what we put the effort on to keep one thing, and vairagya is to let go. So in the practice of dharana, we have again these two things of abhyasa and vairagya. We do abhyasa, we continue to focus, we put the effort on focusing, or we are steady in our effort to focus the attention on the object we choose, and we do vairagya and on all the other things. Okay, so this has been a very long explanation about dharana, and now it's time for us to practice. I will give the instructions. We will say a little bit more than 5 minutes, about 10 minutes, because I want you to really check what is happening, and I want you to really put the effort, this abhyasa, in binding your attention to the object, and really put the effort in vairagya, in not following anything else. So for this, we need some time in this dharana, and of course to see how it influences the state of the mind. So take a few moments to arrange your body into a comfortable posture. Again, it should be a posture that the body will not disturb you, because now we only want to work directly with the mind. You can close your eyes. And then make sure your breath is relaxed. And if you need some moments to relax it, please do. Just start to breathe a little bit slower without effort. And then check the state of your mind. Is there a lot of movement in the mind? Is it difficult to keep the eyes closed? This is the rajasic mind, and it's okay. Or are you falling asleep the minute you close your eyes? This is the tamasic mind, and you can hardly hear me. There is like this black void. This is also very much okay, not a problem. Or maybe the mind is already quite calm and focused, the sattvic mind. And now when you feel ready, gently direct your attention to the breath. We saw that we all have this ability, so gently do it. And see that when your attention is directed to the breath, immediately you become aware of what is going on in the breath, and you can identify when the air comes in, when you inhale, and you can identify when you exhale, when the air goes out. And this is your only mission for now, to keep following the inhale and exhale, to know at every given moment if you're inhaling or exhaling. And it doesn't matter if the breath is heavy or is very subtle, or there are moments between that you're not inhaling and exhaling. Doesn't matter. Only it is your job to know at every given moment, is the air going in or is the air going out? Coming in or coming out? When you see, only after you have noticed that the air is coming in, mentally say inhale or air in. Only after you saw that air is going out, mentally say exhale or air out. Make sure not to make it automatic, but you have to make sure first that you have noticed what is going on in the breath, and only then mentally say, identify, is it inhale or exhale? So as you try to do this, you will start to notice the automatic movement of the attention, how it suddenly start to go after thoughts or after some sensations in the body, or starting to follow some imagination or some sound. Start to see suddenly that you are no longer aware of what is going on in the breath. This will happen. And then the moment you have noticed that you are no longer on the breath, you don't know what is going on in the breath, then remind yourself, oh, I can release my attention from there because you have this ability, and then release and gently return the attention to the breath. Become aware of the inhale and exhale and renew the abhyasa, the movement towards the breath. Okay, we will stay here silently for a few moments, then I will give a little bit more instructions. So the attention is on the breath. Identify inhale and exhale. When the attention goes away, identify that. Remember, you can release it, even if it's the most interesting thought, and bring it back to the breath. Renew your attention to the inhale and exhale. A few moments in silence. Continue directing your attention to the breath. See the effort that is needed to continue directing it, to release it from other things. This is the tapas we talked about, this effort. Sometimes we really start to sweat because this takes a lot of effort to keep controlling the attention. It's just like working in a gym, working the muscle with sweat. Here we sweat also. This is the tapas we've been talking about. We continue. Following the breath, identifying inhale and exhale. Release all other things. Continue focusing your breath, your attention on the breath, right? And she said that it doesn't matter what takes your attention away, how many thoughts there are, what kind of thoughts, ideas, imagination, even tiredness. If you want, you can release the attention from that and return to the breath. And it doesn't matter how many times you have to do it. Every time you do it, you gain control over the mind. You develop the steady and clear mind. Continue. Even if you have the idea that you cannot do it anymore, even if there is the thought that this is so boring, you have to open your eyes, let go of these. These are not the breath. We are not directing our attention to that. Release because you can and return to the breath. Feel the effort. Wonderful. You're doing a very good job. Continue. And now start to check what is the state of the mind every time your attention is directed to the breath. How the mind is. And what happens to all the things, what happened to all the things that distract us, that takes the attention away. The moment we release our attention from them and return to the breath, what happened to them? What happened to the thought that took our attention? What happened to the imagination that took our attention, or through the sound? Every time you release your attention from something that is different than the breath, check what happens to it the moment you return to the breath. Okay, so when you're on the breath, what is the state of the mind? And when you release and return to the breath, what happens to these things that took our attention away? Check. Continue directing your attention to the breath. See that every time the attention is directed to the breath, how your mind stabilizes, how it becomes steady, stable. See that every time you let go of something that distracted you, that took your attention away, and you come back to the breath, the thing that took your attention away stops to exist. So see how the mind is cleansing, or is less and less thoughts, less and less imagination. Every time they come to an end, every time you let go of them and return to the breath, they stop to exist. Notice these two qualities of stability and clarity starting to manifest with this practice. 5 more minutes. Put all your effort, attention to the breath. Let go of everything else that is different than the breath. See the quality of the mind changing to becoming more steady and more clear. 5 more minutes. Two more minutes. Put all your effort. Svadhyaya. Be aware of inhale and exhale. Release all the rest. Now gently release your attention. Try to keep your eyes closed for a second. Relax the breath. You need to take a deep breath. And now check how your mind is. Is it agitated? Is it tired? Is it calm and focused? Try to remember how it was in the beginning of the practice and how it is now. And then, when you feel ready, open your eyes. All right, well done. Did you feel the effort? Yeah, we can feel the tapas necessary to continue and do this boring action, to follow something that is so boring. And here there is a very important thing to understand about this kind of one-pointed concentration. To do meditation with music, I'm sorry, it's not meditation, because the music takes our attention away and there is no effort there. To do meditation, thinking that concentration is created when we are watching a movie or playing a video game is not practicing any concentration, because our attention goes there naturally. When we want to practice meditation, we must make sure that the object we concentrate on is extremely boring for us. Even playing music, if somebody likes to play music and concentrate for long hours, still this is something not as difficult as focusing on the breath, which is amazingly boring. So it must be boring because we must put the effort, we must do the tapas to develop the muscle. It's like going to the gym. I can lift, like half a kilo weight, and I can go like this, very nice, no effort there. No effort, no muscle developing. Okay? Here also, if there is no effort in your practice, it means that your muscle, this control over the attention is not developing. So I hope you have felt the effort, and don't be afraid of it. When you see it, that you're really putting an effort, you can know for sure that you're doing correctly, that you're following the technique correctly. And one important thing, the effort is not on the breath, is not in breathing, because if the effort is in the breath, it is a pranayama practice. Here the effort is in continuing focusing the attention and letting go of things that might be more interesting than the breath, but what can we do? We must let go of them. So this effort is a good sign that we are doing the practice. Another very important thing, many of us maybe have the idea that meditation, we have to stop thoughts. And we have this idea because many times this is what they taught us or what we read, that we have to quiet the mind, we have to stop the thoughts. But we saw this is not the idea. The idea is not to follow them. The idea is to let go of them. And I hope you saw that it doesn't matter at all how many times your attention goes away to something. It only matters that you do the action of releasing this very interesting thing and coming back to this very boring thing and trying to hold it as long as you want. I hope you were able to see these two things, the controlling the attention or abhyasa and the vairagya, letting go, how they influence the state of the mind. How when we are concentrated on the breath, stability is created. Did you notice? How nice it is. It's little, very short moments, it can be like 5 seconds that I was able to follow the breath. But in these 5 seconds, I was steady. My mind was steady. So we can really feel it in these little moments. And then we can see how every time we let go of an idea or emotion or something and return to the breath in this little moment, the thing that took our attention away stops to exist. So there is this little moment of clarity for a moment. This noise doesn't exist. So, and the more we practice, the result will be more stability, more clarity, less and less noise. Maybe you felt it as we go. Another very important thing. maybe we like to learn yoga as theory, and we read a lot of books and we see a lot of lectures, but I can tell you, without practicing, it is not yoga, because yoga must create transformation in the mind. And if the only way to create transformation in the mind is by practicing, it's like if I read a lot of books about weightlifting and, you know, exercises, and I see a lot of videos and I see everything, but I never exercise, it's not going to transform my body. So it's useless. The same goes here. Even if for years you've been hearing about yoga and about meditation, if you want to follow the path, if you want to walk the walk, you must do the practice. But it doesn't have to be 20 minutes like now. Not more. All of us have 20 minutes to spare a day, at least not in the beginning, and not when it takes so much effort, when we are a mess. So 5 minutes every day, but be very clear about what the instructions are, what you are supposed to do. 5 minutes a day will do the trick and will start to transform your mind, exactly like 5 minutes of weightlifting every day is better than nothing. So if I imagine, if I continue to, if I start to weightlift 5 minutes every day, for sure this poor muscle of mine is going to become stronger, so more developed. So the same goes with this ability of the mind. For sure, the mind will become more clear and more steady. I remind you, if you have any thoughts, please feel free to, any questions, please feel free to write. I will be happy to answer everything. So let's see what is, let's talk a little bit more about these states of mind and see where it takes us, because it is very interesting. It's something we all know about yoga, but we have to, well, we can check it together and see it more clear. We can talk about 3 states of mind that we've talked before, which is the Rajasic mind, the mind with a lot of movement, the Tamasic mind, the tired mind, and the concentrated mind, or the Sattvic mind that is concentrated and clear. But there is, we can, or yoga shows this different qualities of mind in another model, which I find very interesting. And we'll explain more why it is needed. So we can, most of us start with 2 kinds of mind. We can call, the yoga calls Muda or Kshipta. Muda is the Tamasic mind. It is this heavy, dull mind that when we try to read a book or listen to somebody, we immediately fall asleep. It's quite useless when you want to study. It's not very useful. But if you want to sleep, it's okay. And so it depends, what you need the mind for. So we start with a Muda kind of mind, or with Kshipta. Kshipta is the Rajasic mind, a lot of movement in the mind. And again, when we want to study something, this agitated mind is not going to be very useful. But I can think of other moments in life when it doesn't matter that my mind is all over the place if I don't need to use it right away. And when we start to practice this kind of dharana, this one-pointed concentration, we go into a state of Kshipta. And into the state of Vikshipta. This state means that the mind is not in a Muda state. It is not a dull mind, and it is not completely Rajasic mind, a lot of movement. It is sometimes steady and sometimes moving. So in the practice, we can really see it. This is what we have practiced now. Maybe for beginners, it was mostly Muda or Kshipta. Maybe you were sleeping very well for 20 minutes. But for us, for most of us who are already a little bit trained in this kind of one-pointed concentration, we can see the Vikshipta state of mind, that it is sometimes or mostly concentrated. We can hold it, and then sometimes it goes away to other things and then goes back again and stabilizes. So this is the Vikshipta mind. And this means that you have started to practice and your mind is starting to change. And this is exactly what we want, because I remind you, we need to do this Svadhyaya, and then we must change the state of mind. After the Vikshipta, if we continue the practice, we will come to a state of mind which is called Ekagra. Ek in Sanskrit is one. So this is the one pointed concentration mind, or the mind that is concentrated on one thing or directed towards one thing. Here we already, the movement is so little. It's only like we can sense that our mind wants to go to somewhere else, but we keep on going towards the breath. We can already feel this ek, this one goal that we are moving towards, or this one object that we have been binding our attention to. So the more we practice, the more we will develop this ekagra state. And then if we continue the practice, and these states of mind happen in the practice itself. During the practice, we move towards the nirodha state of mind. And the nirodha state of mind is the quiet mind, the clear mind. So basically we can say ekagra and nirodha, the steady mind and the clear mind. The word nirodha is a very nice word. It means cessation, or the end of. So the end of the movement, the end of all distractions, the end of whatever takes our attention away, the end of whatever colors our mind or colors the objects that we want to see when we use the mind. So nirodha is the end of all the movement of the mind, which means in this state we are ready to start the Svadhyaya. We can say this nirodha talks about the end of the movement, and when the movement ends and the mind is also directed, then this will be the state of samadhi. Some of you who are well established in yoga probably recognize the word nirodha from the Yoga Sutra of Patnjali, the second sutra in chapter 1, which says the most wonderful thing. It says, yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Many times, many translations, they will say yoga is when chitta, vritti, nirodha happens. In a moment I'm going to explain, but I like to see it is that yoga begins. We start yoga, we start the journey of Svadhyaya when chitta, vritti, nirodha happens. What does it mean? Chitta is the mind, vritti is the movement, and nirodha is the end or the cessation of the movement of the mind. So yoga starts when there is cessation of the movement of the mind. So no more coloring, no more distracting ideas, no more whatever. We are going to see exactly what chitta vritti is, what is the movement of the mind when we start the process, or even before. But yeah, the more we go into the practice, we will see the chitta vritti, we will start to identify them, the movement of the mind, and the nirodha, the cessation of them. And maybe in the practice that we've done, you have already noticed that every time we go back to the breath, this nirodha happens. Whatever thought or feeling or idea, imagination you had before came to an end the moment you were focused on the breath. So yoga starts when the mind, the movement of the mind ends and the mind is steady and clear and ready for Svadhyaya. This is second sutra in chapter 1. So this is why it is so, so important to practice the dharana. If you want some, I will say this state of mind is to say, well, maybe to explain, because many times we learn it, but we are not completely understanding the words. Nirodha means that the movement has ended. When the movement has ended, we can say we are in a dhyana state, a mind without movement. Okay? And when we are in a dhyana state, in the meditative mind, then we can have the samadhi, to see the things as they are. So in a way, these are all like parallel words, but this Chitta Vritti Nirodha says what is ending, and dhyana says what is achieved. What is the result? And actually samadhi says what is achieved. We achieve the knowledge of the things as they are. So just to make all these terms understandable when we look at all of them together, I hope this is useful for you. I think maybe there is a question. Let's see. Okay, there is a question. What is the difference? Noah is asking, what is the difference between Mudha and Tamasic mind? It is the same. The Mudha is Tamasic mind. Only in these 5 stages of mind, we look at it more in regard to the practice itself. What happens in the practice? So we start usually with a Mudha mind or a Kshipta mind. You know, you will see it tomorrow morning when you wake up early to practice. You will see maybe the Mudha mind very tired, or you will see the Kshipta mind like already, you know, you have a lot of things to take care of and already the mind is racing. And actually the last thing that the mind wants to do is now to concentrate. But then you start the practice and then the process, and then you can see how it becomes goes towards Vikshipta, mostly steady, sometimes going away. If you persist, you will see the Ekagra becoming more and more stable on the breath, and then the cessation, the Nirodha of the movement of the mind. And then when, well, it will be maybe not for long minutes, but like suddenly these moments of clarity that you will say, oh, there is only the breath. There is no struggle anymore. For a moment, I am stable. The mind is stable and clear. You will really be able to feel it. And maybe another important thing to say is when we talk about meditation and we say we practice meditation, actually we say something that is not so accurate, because we practice concentration, and the meditation, the meditative mind, is the result. It's a little bit like going to sleep. Yeah, I can prepare the bed and turn off the lights and everything, but the sleep is the result of that. The sleep is spontaneous. It's a result of all this arranging the stuff and preparing for sleep. So here also we prepare the mind. We do the concentration part, the dharana, the abhyasa de vairagya, and the meditative mind appears as a result. And suddenly, we cannot. We can only do the concentration, and the result is the dhyana, the meditative mind. Okay, another question from Sigal. Please say more. What is the difference between dhyana and samadhi? Okay, this is a wonderful question. Let's try to put it in a way. Okay, so we have, we can maybe put this diagram. We have the mind. This will be the mind. And this will be the world, the different objects. And when we practice, we sort of direct the mind into one object. Let's say this is the breath, and we've been directing the mind into one object. So in the practice, the dharana was trying to focus on this one object, and again, the mind is moving away. In the dhyana state, the mind now is clear. There is no more distractions in the mind. There is no more movement. The movement came to Nirodha. So the mind is completely clear. Let's see, like this. The mind is completely clear. So Dhyana talks about the state of the mind. In Dhyana, the state of the mind is without movement. The movement have reached Nirodha, the cessation of the movement. And then Samadhi talks about now how the object appears to us. When we look at the object through this meditative mind, through this clear mind, how does the object look? The object looks the same as it is, identical to itself. I think this word, identical to itself, is the best translation to Samadhi. The thing looks as it is, identical to itself, with no coloring in the middle. And we know that usually when we look at things, we don't see them as they are, because I look at the breath and then I have a lot of ideas about the breath. It is short, it is long, it takes a lot of effort, it's like this. I have a lot of things in the middle talking about the breath, and what I see is this movement, is these ideas about the breath. But in Samadhi, all this movement has ended. This is Dhyana, the ending of the movement, and then the object appears as it is. So this is the difference. If I will repeat it again, the Dhyana talks about the state of the mind being a clear and steady mind. The Samadhi talks about now how the object appears when the mind is in a state of Dhyana. The object appears as it is in its true nature. And we all know that if we want to study something, we want to investigate something, we better investigate it when we have it in its true nature. And not covered with a lot of things. Imagine you want to, I don't know, to investigate a diamond and it's covered with rock. So before you can investigate the diamond and what it is, you have to put the pieces of rocks away, and only then it's worthwhile to start to check what is this diamond. So this is exactly the idea. We put everything that can block our view away, and only then we can start to notice the things as they are or investigate the things as they are. Okay, so we have the same question. I hope Sigal and Efrat, it is clear. And Meirav is asking, so to focus on concentration is possible for people that are disabled in body or old or sick? Yes, of course. This is one of the most beautiful things that we realize when we understand attention. We understand that all people can control their attention no matter what their situation is. So even a very young child can start to work with attention. And if I give him the practice of trying to move attention from place to place, he will be able to do it. And an old man, people can do it. One time I gave a class, my sister invited me. She was working with very, very old people, most of them above 90, some of them reaching 100 years. And I gave them a class about this, about their ability to move attention. And all of them were able to do it. Doesn't matter how senile they were and how old and already forgetting stuff. But when I asked them to move attention from place to place, all of them were able to do it. But in the beginning, of course, if somebody is sick and there is a lot of pain in the body, it will be very difficult to take the attention away. So we might start with very, short practices with some object, very gross, that is very easy to hold, and then slowly to develop, just like weightlifting. I start with 0.5 kilo and then I can reach up to 20. Thank you for these wonderful questions. So this is the idea. So now we understand how to prepare the mind. And as I said, to do the Svadhyaya, we must make this transformation of mind, but we have only 6 meetings, already 2 are over. So it is up to you to practice. So what I invite you to do is tomorrow morning before our third lecture to arrange some time to practice exactly with the directions that I gave. Put your attention on the breath and identify these two movements of the attention, the holding, the directing, and the letting go, and just practice this again and again and see the stability and clarity slowly created. And you can do it for 5 minutes. It will be enough, but if you have more time, you can do it more time. And don't be fooled by any thought or idea that you have in the mind. Even if you have the idea, I cannot go on, this is so boring, I must open my eyes, I cannot take it, even if you start sweating, whatever, remember this is your tapas. This is your time to put effort, and this is going to be worthwhile. And so prepare your mind, and tomorrow we are going to start the Svadhyaya part and to see how it is, how we start to investigate. And I invite you also to start to notice in your daily life, because we still have some time before we meet again, these two functions of your attention. See how you can direct attention, or how you sometimes very naturally use your ability to direct attention when you're reading a book, or I don't know, when you're doing some kind of work. See how, or even preparing a cup of coffee, see how at that moment, or rolling a cigarette, see how in that moment you are using your attention, and how you let go of all the other things that distract you. But I invite you also to see the natural movement of attention. Start to identify it, how there is a noise and your attention goes there, and then a memory comes and your attention goes there. So start to identify also this natural movement of attention. The more you will be, with that, it will become more and more clear also in the practice. And then another thing, excuse me, I'm giving you a little bit homework, but I think it's nice. It's like a real seminar. Start to think, what are the benefits of being able to control your attention, to be able to hold it on one thing and to let go of all the others? What will be the benefits for your daily life? Because this practice, as I said before, is not only for the Svadhyaya part. It's not only for us to be able to investigate who we are, mind and awareness, and distinguish between them. It is also very useful for daily life. So I invite you to start to do a little research, or to think about what will be the benefit of this ability to control attention in your daily life. There are different benefits for this, and we'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow in the beginning, because I find it very motivating when we understand how useful it is, not only for Svadhyaya, but also for our daily life. Yes, and also think about if you practice every morning and you can develop this stable and clear mind, what will be the benefit of this for your life? Will this affect your relationships, your energy levels, whatever? Start to think it over. What will be the benefits of all this great work that we are doing? And tomorrow we continue. Okay? So I really hope this was interesting for you. Tomorrow we will again practice together for some time, but also practice by yourself. And of course, if this is interesting for you and useful for you, and you think that this can be useful for more people, please do invite them to join. All the lectures stay in the YouTube channel, and you can just watch them whenever you want, or somebody else can watch them. And one more important thing about our Zoom meeting, we will have a class where we can see all of us and talk. And you can talk also, not only me, for an hour and a half in the Zoom. This will be on Wednesday afternoon, 6 o'clock. So before that, on the lectures, I will put the link to the Zoom, and from there you will be able to reach the class and to join this meeting. I think it will be very nice. All right, so let's finish with a thank you, like always. So just close your eyes. And bring your palms together. And you can say thank you for the pleasure of meeting in this wonderful cyberspace. And may this teaching and our effort in the practice be for the benefit of all creation. Thank you very much. Have a great night or a great day wherever you are. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.